I'm a sovereign citizen too. What's happening, guys? I'm a sovereign citizen from Interville. I know all about the gold fringe and how fraudulent it is.
They hit me with a really strong dose of OC spray.
I want to speak to you, dead soldiers, now! I know the laws, buddy, and I'm waiting for you to do something wrong so I can sue you in the pulpit.
I pay for that uniform, I pay for that car, I'm the taxpayer, right?
All right, we are live. Excellent. Thanks everybody for showing up. Tonight we're going to be looking at the debate that Arty did with a First Amendment auditor, the first one who's ever been brave enough to actually come on and have a debate. And it turned into the shit show that you would think. Like I told Arty just a bit ago, I didn't think anybody could do worse in a debate against Arty than what's his name? Arty. Damn it, I'm blanking. Devon Bay.
Yeah, Devon Bay.
Yeah, Devon Bay was an absolute dumpster fire, and this guy, his arguments were even worse. It just descended into a whole bunch of things that had nothing to do with even anything to do with what First Amendment auditors say. We were also talking about the absolute racist video that the sovereign citizen Marcel Bissett put up the other day. Both of us immediately downloaded it upon seeing it because we knew that it was going to be gone pretty quickly. And I just checked, and yes, it's gone.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah, that's not surprising.
Yeah, it's. I mean, when you put the N-word in the title, of your video, and then say it, I didn't count yet, but I probably
would say at least 20 times, 20 to 30 times
at least. And screaming it into the camera. Your video's not going to last long. But I've got some breaking news. You're going to get a kick out of this, Arty, because you haven't heard this yet. Okay. So there's a flat earther / sovereign citizen who's been in the news lately. His channel name's Flat Earth Fokker, and his name is Mac Parhar. And I'm not doxing him because he's been on the news and in tabloids. He recently flew to the United States for a Flat Earth conference, flew back to Canada, refused to quarantine, publicly refused to, got arrested, spent some time in jail, was on the news, and then he debated, most recently he debated Fight the Flat Earth, and he debated MC Toon. So I debated him something like 2 years ago on the topic of flat Earth, and without being too long-winded here. So periodically, I go by his channel just to see what kind of stupid he's come up with lately. And I go yesterday; all his videos are gone. His channel is wiped clean, and I'm like, "Wow, okay, that's weird." So I checked. Just a little bit of searching. And I found a live stream that he was on a channel called Ranty Flat Earth, who does a daily show. So he was the featured guest on there. And he has gone full sovereign citizen in the wake of his arrest. And he hooked up with some charlatan who is like a new version of Mark Stevens. He does the whole jurisdiction thing. Yeah, so I downloaded that live stream. I'm going to cut that up, and we're gonna and I'm gonna do some videos on it because they go all the way sovereign citizen.
Oh, they go full blast. Ooh,
full sovereign citizen. And I listened to this 2-hour live stream full of flat earthers who are they're all buying into it. And I've always said that if you're a flat earther, you're probably a sovereign citizen too. But okay, so he's challenging jurisdiction in the court currently with this charlatan guru, sovereign citizen, Mark Stevens rebranding guy. So, Dave, can you pull up that picture that I sent you? Okay, yeah, let's look at this. This is how he's going to beat the court. Arty, brace yourself.
No.
He created his own court.
Oh, of course
the
he did.
Parhar court.
Yep.
And his court is superior to the Vancouver court. Therefore, they don't have jurisdiction over him because he is a superior court. Let that sink in.
The thing I find it funny. Well, the thing is, what's unique about this is that he's named it after himself. Now, sovereign citizens do like to imagine themselves creating their own courts, like their own
courts and all those.
Postal courts, their own common law courts, plenipotentiary judicial court, the Moorish, indigenous whatever BS court. This is actually a first one where he named it after himself. So that is actually a new one for me.
Yeah. And so you saw in that he's got 3 videos up so far with him and this legal sovereign citizen guru. And according to the sovereign citizen guru guy, the Vancouver courts, their hands are tied. They can't do anything now. Mac Parhar, Flat Earth Fucker, has them by the short hairs. That case is done. So it's going to be interesting over the next weeks, months, and possibly years to see how this all works out. Because he's looking at upwards of, by his own admission, hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines and up to something like 6 months in jail.
Hundreds of thousands? For what was... I mean, that can't be just for the quarantine thing, right?
Well, he violated quarantine. They ticketed him. He violated quarantine again. They ticketed him again. And then they finally came and arrested him. And that's what was in the news articles. And that's what he actually said himself in the live stream. So I know fuck all about, Canada and their court system and all that. I think 750,000 Canadian dollars is roughly about 25 US dollars. So that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm joking. It's roughly about the same US and Canada dollars. Speaking of Canadians, where the hell is Brainy Beaver at? He's supposed to be here. He's a no-show. I'm gonna have to go beaver hunting. I did send the link to Team Skeptic, who said that he's probably going to stop by. He's doing a little bit of video editing right now. So he may pop in, and I sent the link to OPT Lawyer. I think he said that he is indisposed at the moment. So, but there's a potential that either one of them could stop by. First super chat of the night. Truth Nerds for €2 said he's going to be laughed out of Parhar Court. He said Harhar Court. I think that's a they're not even going to respond. I don't think to. Apparently, he sent some legal notices from his new court.
Of course, they did.
That's somebody said Brainy Beaver is live streaming on his channel. What the hell, Brainy?
Wow. Shade thrown.
I know. Woo. Somebody go to his channel and tell him that he
call him out.
What the hell, Brainy?
He had a
Jesus Christ. I know.
Clifford made the point that's right. It was not just the quarantine, but also he was operating his business in defiance of the restrictions too.
Right.
So that makes sense then.
Okay, so he had a hot yoga studio. And when COVID first started, well, he spoke out of both sides of his mouth because he said that COVID was fake, and he still maintains that it's fake. And I don't know why I just said COVID because now I'm going to be demonetized. But he says that it's fake, and he says that
It can be cured by
high
heat or something
temperatures.
by heat.
Yes. So they finally, he refused to close his business. They came and shut his shit down after ticketing him multiple times for that. Plus, he's not going to be doing himself any favors by doing the whole sovereign citizen thing in court. Apparently, when he went to court the most recent time, he only would call the judge by her first name.
Of course.
So that's not going to do him any favors, even though the guru that he's following is telling him that's the exact route to go. Don't show her any respect. We've all seen how that pans out.
Yeah, when you're being disrespectful to a judge. Yeah.
But you had a debate on Tuesday night that the First Amendment auditor actually showed up, unlike the coward that waited to the last minute to bail on my debate with him. Rogue Nation, who is fresh off of an arrest at the DMV, and I don't know how you get arrested at the DMV. I only get bored at the DMV. But he managed to. So, Dave, did you get that downloaded and everything?
Yeah, it's queued up to 14 minutes, 47 seconds. So that'll do away with most of the pleasantries there.
Right. That sounds like a good spot to start. Let's pull it up and see where we're at, because I didn't get time to... I listened to it live, but I didn't get time to go back and cut it up and all that. But he spews so much stupid that we should be able to work our way through it pretty easily.
All right, so when you want me to pause, either one of you, just shout pause, and I'll bring us back to this scene. So here we go.
Excellent.
If two reporters showed up at the police station lobby, one guy had a pen and a paper, the other guy had a camera. They let the guy in with the pen and the paper, but not the camera. That wouldn't be discrimination.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
I don't know why you would think that'd be discrimination, because the restriction is on the tool.
It wouldn't be like
not on the individual. The restriction is on the device, not the individual.
Okay, and that wouldn't be like an unequal application of, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know why he thinks that.
No, because most people are also.
Just shout pause, Arty, remember.
Oh, sorry. That was one of the things that confused me. Why he said unequal application. It's the restriction is on audio-visual recording. It's not a restriction on press access.
Well, and he's not wrong. Right. It's discrimination. It's discrimination of a pen versus a camera. But that's not against a person. It's against, like you said, the device.
Right. And that's what a lot of people, I think, get wrong. And I'm no legal anything, but the word discrimination in and of itself is not a bad thing.
It had a negative connotation because of obvious, instances and everything like that. But the word in and of itself, there's a reason for it.
So if you love Ford pickup trucks and you do not like Chevrolet pickup trucks, and you're out truck shopping, you're immediately going to discriminate against the Chevrolet pickup trucks. If you don't like Brussels sprouts, you are going to discriminate in your meal choices against Brussels sprouts. It's not a negative word in and of itself. And who is this person who just joined?
Brady Beaver. I think you can hear me. Yeah, you can. But wait.
I think you mean Tardy Beaver.
Okay, hold on. I actually got to join with a different name.
See, even when he joins, he's still late. He joined, and he's going to be even more late now. Beavers. There he is.
There it is. Yeah, I gotta fix that. I gotta make it. I gotta make it so I got different accounts on this computer, because this It's fucking PC's Dock City, boy.
Oh, we got the plot
Yeah.
hole in the chat. Hello, plot hole. So,
Anyway,
did you
yeah.
hear anything about what we were talking about earlier? Because I got some great Flat Earth Fokker new breaking news.
I mean, you sent me the thing that he wasn't online anymore.
Yeah, that
Well, he
account has
privated
been,
all his videos, right? So
yeah, that account has been disabled for 3 months, according to him. I heard him in a live stream today. He's in the court. He's gone full sovereign citizen, and his tactic is that he has created his own court. It's called you can see it on screen. It's called the Parhar Court, which is his last name. And according to him and his pseudo-legal counsel, it's superior to the Vancouver courts, and therefore the Vancouver courts, since they're subordinate to the Parhar courts, have no jurisdiction to continue to prosecute him.
that's really funny.
I would
I can't-
have named after me.
It's not parody. He's serious. He served them with all kinds of paperwork and shit.
Honestly, it's really. I don't even know. Yeah. Is that why? Wait, so
Yeah.
wait, who took? Wait, so YouTube took his stuff off, or did he do it?
Well, according to him, he's got 2 strikes on that channel for violating terms of service because of all his virus denial. And if he gets one more, the channel's gone. So he privated all those videos. He moved everything to a secondary channel called Flat Earth Fokker. What's it called? Not rebooted, but Flat Earth Fokker something. And then he opened up this other channel called the Parhar Court, which isn't so much a YouTube channel. It's an actual court, according to him, that is superior to Vancouver courts. Because
Interesting.
reasons. Yeah, I got another super chat from Fuck YouTube for $2 American. Thank you very much. It says equal rights for cameras and pins, exclamation point. Yeah, so that's what we were just talking about, Brainy. We had just gotten into the debate that Arty had with Rogue Nation, and Rogue Nation says that if somebody can come into a court with a pen and paper, they should be able to come in with a camera. Again, because reasons.
Or his argument is that if 2 journalists come in, one who generally gathers news via a camera and one who gathers news via pen and paper, is it not discrimination that that one cannot do their job because of the ordinance that prevents them or restricts them from being able to use your camera? Now, bear in mind that it's not a whole. In most of these instances, it's not a blanket ban, except under a full ban. You just need to have permission first,
Right.
or need to get consent to record. But yeah,
Right.
that's his argument. But I tell him that's the restriction is on the tool, the device being used, and not on the individual. But I don't think he understood that.
Right. Got another super chat, Dr. Osiris for 0.99 euros. A happy face emoji with $ eyes. Thank you very much. Yeah, Dave, let's get into some more of this, and we can get Brainy all caught up on the stupid.
Like an unequal application of the law there.
I don't know why you would say that's an unequal application of the law, because again, the restriction is no audio and video recording. I'm only giving a hypothetical because states have their own different rules on recording in public areas. But in the hypothetical, saying that that you can only record audio and video without consent, or without the consent without first receiving permission. Let's say courthouse, for example. then the restriction is on the device. It's not a restriction on the press. And the fact that you or some member of the media prefers the use of a video or camera isn't discrimination because it's just restriction on the tool.
Okay. Okay, great. So now what you're saying is if I go into, let's say, City Hall, they've got a sign up, what is it, an ordinance? Let's say they got an ordinance that says no video or audio recording in the City Hall. They ask me to leave because I'm recording. You're saying then I could be trespassed from City Hall and possibly arrested? Would that be right?
Yes.
That would be
False.
correct?
Generally speaking, yes.
Yeah, so what these people do, and everybody who's watched any of our videos knows this, they get asked to leave because they refuse to stop recording. They refuse to leave after being asked to leave. That's when they get trespassed and arrested. No, they always say, I'm getting trespassed or I'm getting arrested for filming. No, you're not. You're getting arrested for trespassing. Also, $4.99 super chat from Gia, no message. Thank you very much, Gia. And I did fail to say thank you for the PayPal that you sent me, and I apologize. And thank you for the super chat. Tom Castro for $5 says, "Great job to you and Arty, and also to Brady Beaver, even though he's late. Damn it, Beaver." All right.
Yeah, I think that's it. Ultimately, just to add in, I mean, that's what it comes down to. If you're being asked to leave by somebody who has the authority to control, the building or the structure, i.e., security, or even a receptionist or a secretary who's at the front office,
yes,
and you are required to leave. And if you refuse to leave, you can be arrested for trespass. That's And as you said, it's not it's not fulfilling.
Saying I can't be trespassed from public property that's not a thing. You can be trespassed from public property. If you go to City Hall and the city manager says that you have to leave because you refuse to stop filming, or if you're just there wandering around with no particular business and somebody with authority asks you to leave, you got to leave or you're trespassing. So
yeah, it's like the City Hall isn't a public park, and even then, in a public park, you may be yelled for trespass, but there has to be something a lot more than what a City Hall is. But City Hall is there for people who have business there. It's not there for you to just hang out necessarily.
Right. It's not a park, So it like when I was talking to
I had my
Nelly
mic
D,
off. God damn, there I am.
Oh,
Keep going. Sorry. No, I was on my end. I was like, I had the
you're
wrong part of my
never
banana
quiet.
on. I had the. It's like I don't know what's going on here.
I was
Keep
like, he's so
going, keep going.
quiet. Is he mad at us?
No,
You're never
I was
quiet.
trying to.
Yeah,
trying to talk for like fucking minute.
Hey, go ahead and weigh in.
When was this debate? I obviously missed this debate though. That's the only unfortunate thing.
Tuesday. This past
Okay.
Tuesday night.
I should have pre-watched it. I guess I didn't realize I didn't see the title and realize we were discussing an actual debate. That would have been nice for me to watch just on my end, but that's not your fault.
Well, no, it's good because you can react, spontaneously to it. So I don't think I sent you the link to it specifically so that you could respond spontaneously, because he pulls some really idiotic arguments out of his ass. So do we want to watch a little bit more, or anybody else got any comments?
Well, the only comment I have is that I discovered right before I came to your stream that in Cyberpunk you're able to create your own genitalia, and apparently that's a bad idea because now they're having bugs. They're having bugs in the game. Well, because the game just came out. I'm not on that hype train. I'm letting that hype train pile into its own wall. But I guess now people's penises are popping out of their outfits.
You say this as I'm playing it right now during this.
That is apparently there was a bug and people's dicks are coming out of their pants.
Well, thank God I turned on the nudity censor before my live stream. So
Yeah, that sounds like a lot
That's
of
pretty
people
much
getting their
you
videos
pretty.
taken down.
Oh, fucking right. That's what I was getting. Actually, that's really why I was saying it, because if you're gonna stream it, then you almost got to make sure that there's no dicks popping out of pants. Because I was like, why would they have a dick? And they looked it up, and apparently it's so realistic. You get to pick genitalia. So here we are. Yep. So, anyways, that had nothing to do with this, but I thought everybody would enjoy that piece of absolute fun. Because when is the last time you ever heard of a game just straight dick shotting people for no reason?
That's awesome. Before we get to more stupid, I got a £14.99 super chat from Baker Street Gaming. When they recorded their own stupidity means we have content to laugh at. And I've said that multiple times. I don't know why these people film themselves getting arrested. And as in my premiere earlier today, getting arrested and screaming like a small child and crying because you're getting arrested no less by a female officer after you pretended to be a tough guy. And then you upload it to your own channel. I don't know why anybody would do that, but I thank you, because otherwise I wouldn't have content.
Oh, yeah. So, I missed that premiere, so I saw it just before I went live, and wow. I mean, he screamed like I did when I played Alien Isolation, but I mean, at least I wasn't being arrested by a
Game
female
is
officer.
terrible. Just running from cupboard to cupboard. These, I've never. It's
But look,
a good,
look,
it's a good idea.
I'm willing to admit that I have a high range when I get spooked, just like that guy. But that was also kind of embarrassing because at least I wasn't doing that in public. But
right,
wow.
and then upload.
Are you like
you
like
know?
Flanders? He gets good drapes. Is that what you're saying? Do you remember Simpsons? The Flanders when they were
Ned,
the
we
murder
screamed
house?
like a girl, like a woman.
Yeah, he screamed.
Yeah.
"Ah, I always wanted purple drapes. Ah!" He's screaming in the corner holding his drapes.
That's
Basically.
what this dude sounded like. It was so high pitched, the scream.
The one that got me was funny was when Radical had the one guy when he was back. He was like, back up, and his voice like breaks, so he's backing it up, and Radical fucking dubbed the chicken in to his voice.
Yeah.
Like the little squeak,
Yeah.
squawk of the chicken while he's backing up. Oh my god, these people are amazing. Yeah, I'm excited to watch you guys'. Yeah, I'm excited to see what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was great. And he also did the whole screaming, "Don't touch me," and I put in a little funny, clip after that, which I thought was good. Yeah, let's watch some more stupid.
That would be like a lawful arrest. Is that on any public property?
It's well, again, that's dependent upon the local and state laws, but the courts have already stated that just because property is owned by the government does not mean everybody has free and open access to it, and that even includes
Talking about Adderley.
I'm sorry,
You talking about Adderley?
Adderley. I'm referring to where did I have that? Coquinda.
Okay.
U.S. versus Coquinda, 497 U.S. 720.
Okay. Well, the reason why I was asking is because I have been arrested and in those situations and had the charges dismissed. And again, let me ask you, just, it's not a legal question, but just, what you would think. Would there be a right to free press if, let's say, journalists with video cameras had to stand outside of being, the city offices, like when Smith v. Cummings said to the right to, film our public officials in the course of their public duties? Did you think that the 11th Circuit thought that like a city clerk's duty was walking from her car to the building?
No. That'd be something
I don't
different.
even know where he's going.
Okay, so how would I film the city clerk in the performance of her duties if they just could throw up a sign that said no video?
because that's the state also has, or the courts have already given them the latitude of being able to put time, place, and manner restrictions on being able to record public officials in the course of their duties. And you can also you can also have the ability to monitor your public officials without the use of a video camera and without the use of an audio recording device. Or in many instances, you may be able to have an audio device. But
Smith becoming specifically says filming, correct?
Smith versus Cummings said that subject to the police conduct.
Well, it used the words public officials, not police.
It says police here.
It doesn't say we have the right to record our public officials in the course of their public duties and matters.
Yeah, somebody in the chat had a good point. Maybe we can bump this up to like 1.25 because his brain is operating so slowly that he's barely stuttering out words. I think we can still get what he's saying if we do like 1.25 speed. And also welcome Team Skeptic. Your icon's not up. It says no signal, so I don't know if you're here.
Let me turn. It's because of my camera.
Oh, okay. There we go. Welcome.
How you doing, man? How you doing?
Excellent. We are reviewing Arty's debate that he had this past Tuesday night with a First Amendment auditor.
Yes, that's awesome. Fuck those guys, to be honest. I really don't like those harassers. In fact, like I was telling you, I've got a video that should be out tomorrow covering those punk asses. Those tough guys.
This guy he's trying to defend it, but it's just it shows how simple-minded they are. That he tries to throw out. He tries to throw out some court cases. I'm pretty sure he didn't read the decisions. He probably watched a YouTube video about the decisions where some other auditor says Smith versus Cummings says that we can record in the courthouse, therefore we can record in the courthouse without actually reading it.
What happened with Smith versus Cummings is that it explicitly talks about the ability to film police. But the problem that he seems to have is that the details of the case were explicitly talking about police. He tried to say that yes, and he's correct that in one sentence they mentioned public officials in the course of their public duties, but the context surrounding the case was involving police. And that's what I tried to mention to him, that you are trying to say that the only way you can hold your local clerk accountable is through filming them, and that's not necessarily the case.
That's not necessarily
whereas in police, because police are out in public, then yes, filming police is a measure in which you can be able to hold them to accountable, because they are generally out and about in public, not within the confines of a building doing their primary jobs are there. And no, that doesn't mean that therefore the only way you can do your job in terms of holding them accountable is to film them in public. Because I should have mentioned this. It'd be the
if
same
I don't
thing.
Catch this woman picking her nose, how do I know if she's wasting resources?
I should have made this analogy because he in the sense of, because the mayor of a town, right, or the mayor of or a city manager, or let's put it the mayor. A lot of mayors are politicians, so they're going to be out and about, for political stuff. But a good amount of their duties is going to be happening in their offices. Does that mean that you have the right to go into their office at any time of the day just to film the mayor? I doubt it.
Hey, you pay their wage, sir. Thank you.
Yeah,
I know. Dumb arguments.
Just like the president, we should all be allowed to just take a camera into the Oval Office and make sure that the president is being presidential 24/7.
Right.
Yeah,
for the record, the one that's sitting in there right now might actually feel that way in a couple months, though. So that's a different conversation, though.
He does know the distinction between like the White House. The White House obviously is in a public area, but again, neither is the lobby of a city hall is also a limited public forum, just like the White House is a limited public forum.
Right.
But he
I think
doesn't
we have an
wanna do
auditor
that.
in the chat. And the reason I say that is because, well, first it's in all caps. And then let me read it. It says, but you stopped because he had made some GOG points. And let me, he spelled
Goog.
stopped wrong. He spelled
I
stopped
know.
wrong. He spelled because wrong. And I think when he
Rage
put
typing.
goog, I think he meant good. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure we've got an auditor by the name of H3N2 in the chat.
H3N2, quit rage typing, man. Life will be okay, even though you're wrong.
Right.
Life will be okay. You can no caps and spell check your shit before you press enter. That goes a long way in this community.
It doesn't take that long. And they define a public official as anybody who's paid by the taxpayer. So by that standard, could I go to the local naval hospital and videotape a Navy gynecologist in the performance of his duties?
Nope.
Because they say it's absolute.
Well,
You know.
yeah, but that's where they're insanely wrong because,
Right.
like you said,
Because Arty said it correctly: time, place, and manner.
right, there are
think
places at Walter Reed you can take a camera and film people at Walter Reed. There's lots of places at Walter Reed you can't. You just can't go to Walter Reed and walk into an OR and start filming.
And
The thing
again,
that gets me all the time is that nobody would really stop them from filming a lot of these places. They would, or filming so much as going. Like they always, oh, you can't trust me from here because this is public property. But let's face it, most people don't set up like Semper and him sitting on the goddamn front of a pharmaceutical, setting up lawn chairs and putting a cooler down and stuff.
Yeah, that guy.
And the pharmaceutical company owned a building on both sides of the road. So yes, he was in a legal public throughway, but at the same time, like, you're literally just sitting on the green throughway of a road that has business, like the same business on both sides of it. Like, I can't even think of what that would be the equivalent of, like going into a transport depot and just sitting on their fucking green space in the front. And like, it's so weird. And then they just try to, and they just hope somebody comes out and removes them aggressively.
Right. Yeah. They do it so absurdly, obnoxiously. They're just trying to get, content for their channel. And again, I appreciate it.
And I think that's I think that's the tell in my. I just wanted to point. I think that's the ultimate tell with these guys, because I told them, filming public officials is not the only way of being able to hold, your government accountable. And he knows this because he's utilized other means of doing that, like public records requests. So
right,
that is your alternative. The government does not have to grant you every possible means of transparency or the one that you like. They have to have some means available to you, and you've utilized it. You don't like it because I think you need that content for your channel, and that's the tell.
You see Accountability Angel by chance? Have you seen her at all? I saw her stuff recently, and I was getting ready to do a video on her, but I'm working on a video on somebody else first.
What's the name again?
She's called Accountability Angel. She's a newer channel, and she has. I saved the video. The one where she fucking goes in the area there and passes the sign that says "No unauthorized motor vehicles," and she's like, "I didn't pass a no trespassing
That's not
sign."
a motor vehicle. Yeah,
he's like, they're all along the building. She's like, "Yeah, it's on the brick. I can't go through the brick, can I?" And she's like, "Well, the only sign I passed was one that said only unauthorized motor vehicles only." Well, I don't got wheels. I'm like, you were also. But I'm like, you're also not on a fucking sidewalk, you dumb bitch. Like, excuse the language, but I'm like, you're not, she's walking down the middle of a road that says no unauthorized vehicle. She's like, well, I'm not a vehicle. It's like, well, that's why you're not supposed to be there.
Right. You're not even supposed to be in the roadway.
Well, yeah. And then she did a video recently where she's filming the inmates through the windows. Anyways, go ahead, team. Sorry.
I saw that too. Yeah.
My God, I'm getting to that.
Yeah, I meant to say at the outset that anybody that super chats $2 or more, Arty will give you legal advice live on
Wait,
this
what?
show.
No.
Yeah, no, yes, he agreed earlier. He
I did
no
not.
take backsies.
No,
I heard him.
recording, or you're a liar. Do it.
All right.
I heard him. I'll be your recorder. I'm a biological
Bullshit.
recorder.
There you go. $2 or more, he will give you legal advice.
Oh
Just
my
saying.
God.
All right, let's carry on. With
It's like,
There's a public interest.
I see here. As to the quote, as to the First Amendment claim under Section 1983, we agree with the Smiths that they had a First Amendment right, subject to reasonable time, manner, and place restrictions, to photograph or videotape police conduct. The First Amendment protects the right to gather information about what public officials do on public property, and specifically a right to record matters of public interest. So, a right to record matters of public interest. Well, one of the examples that they gave was the plaintiff's interest in filming public meetings. That the videotape, like state law on videotaping public meetings, but what exactly does a court clerk doing? Are you saying that the court clerk accepting visitors is equivalent to a public meeting?
No, I'm saying that the very essence of the free press was the right to watch over our public officials, how they act, how they behave. As a matter of fact, in the Continental Congress letter to the inhabitants of Quebec in 1774, the Continental Congress stated that it was the right to free press was the right to shame our public officials into doing what was noble. Because, of course, even back then, the corruption was out of hand, and they understood that only when a man's actions are brought before the public bar that he will correct his actions or make his actions noble. Because in darkness is when bad stuff happens. That's why we have to bring stuff to the light. So that's why the free press was invented, was specifically to watch government. It wasn't for, Kim Kardashian and the New York Giants and anything other at that time, pretty much, than to watch the government, specifically, as we had just broken away from a government that wasn't watched closely enough, right?
I'm not disputing that part of the free press, or one of the central
He's
principles
accounting-
behind the free press, is to hold.
he's accounting the production of the press to the start of America.
Yeah, this is where
Almost is what I almost heard there.
But this is where his arguments really just fell off the deep end into absurdity at this point
I
in the
hate
debate.
to tell him there was a free press before America broke away from England.
Yeah, when
Right.
they're talking about the free press, it's because they all work for the Daily Dumbass. Give them a break.
But a free press doesn't mean that you can just go anywhere and record in any manner that you wanted. At the time this was written, there was quill and paper. So of course that has been updated. Plus, that wasn't law. That was a letter that the U.S. sent to the Canadian provinces. That wasn't law.
Well,
His arguments from here just get more absurd.
He's doing it again. He's making a high emphasis on holding, and again, it's a generic aspect of holding officials accountable. And again, that the letter that he sent was an analogy of demanding transparency. That doesn't mean that showing them into light means that they can record, because recording and video did not exist at the time. So,
right.
So again, his entire emphasis is that it's not just holding public officials accountable. It's being allowed to record any public official, no matter what their job is, no matter what their duties are, at any points in time, or at virtually any points in time. And the only reason why he wants that absolute is because he needs content for his channel, not necessarily because he wants to hold them to account.
John 651 in the chat said a great point that I always try to bring up. As far as I know, I didn't go to journalism school, but every journalist has ever told me that day one, they tell you, you're not the story. Don't become part of the story. Your job is to report the story, not be the story. So that's exactly what auditors don't do. They insert themselves and become the story. Instead of doing real journalism where you're just observing and reporting.
Yep.
Oh, Taco Josh for $3.50 says South Park reference. Loch Ness Monster demands tree fitty. Harassment claim? I think that was a question for Arty.
He was super mad at you. I thought he was going to knock your head off. You guys for 350.
All right, so
That was
Arty,
a good
what
episode.
that was.
Great
They're so
meme.
adorable with their little pigtails.
he
Arty,
was so
what
mad
is
when
your
you said that
legal
to him.
opinion?
I am not under any obligation to answer that question by giving legal advice because I might get in trouble for it. So no, I am not going to tell you whether or not Loch Ness Monster demanded tree fitty is her harassment.
Schrodinger, can we sue Arty for false advertisement?
I know,
my-
because
Oh my
I
God.
mean, I've got a notarized.
Only in the court of Parham. Then you'll win.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, team. You didn't catch that part.
What's that?
Oh, yeah.
So I hate to go over this one more time for the people that have already heard
Canadian Tiger King is on fire. Keep going, buddy.
it. So Flat Earth Fokker, he's in the courts right now. You've been tracking this, right? He got arrested for refusing to quarantine and not wearing a mask and all that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm loosely. I don't really follow.
Okay. Anyway,
he's
he's in the courts. He was arrested. He did some time in jail. He's been released on bond, but he's still in the courts going through. He's facing, 6 months and some significant fines. So
we take it fucking seriously here. If you get caught right now and you're supposed to be quarantining, the first thing is a $1,300 fine, and then
nobody's taking it as seriously as North Korea. Those guys.
Yeah. Well, he got the $1,300 fine twice. The third time they arrested him, and now he's in the courts for it. So his response was, team, he went full sovereign citizen on them.
Oh Lord.
And let's bring up the picture one more time, Dave.
We said it.
He has the way he's going to get out of this is he has created his own sovereign citizen court that is superior to the Vancouver courts. Therefore, the Vancouver courts can't prosecute him.
Is he fucking Moorish?
No, he's
Moorish. Amazing.
Well, kind of. It's kind of like the postal courts that sovereign citizens create.
David
But yes,
Wood-Miller.
Yeah, and he's doing the whole challenging jurisdiction thing. And this is his new YouTube channel, the Parhar Court, which is, in his mind, an actual court that's superior to the Vancouver courts. So there's your update on that.
Yeah.
So
How did they ever? Yeah, what an idiot! I don't understand.
We're gonna have lots of fun with this in the weeks and months to come.
It's like when you were showing that guy ripping up the frickin' his fine, and before you said it, I remember thinking like, you can rip that fine up as many times as you want, it's gonna fucking show up again. Like it's gonna just be why
didn't you pay that fine? I don't know. I ripped it up. I didn't know what it said.
Okay.
Yeah. So Flat Earth Fokker, when they sent him the tickets for not quarantining, all he did, he wrote all rights reserved on it and mailed it back to them.
Wow.
That's
Of course he did. Accepted for value, 45-degree angle, red pen.
Oh yeah, no. He talked about the whole 45-degree angle yesterday on Ranting Flat Earth.
I'll never get tired of that fucking stupid ass thing.
Yeah, he was on Ranty's show for like 2 hours yesterday, and they just went over like every terrible sovereign citizen argument that I've ever heard.
What's the 45-degree angle thing? I might be new to this one.
You could tell it better than me, Arty.
Actually, that is one of the rare like sovereign tropes that I still haven't discovered the origin for.
I'm excited though. Tell me what it involves.
The 45-degree thing is part of the overall accepted for value scam where you could just send back your bills or utilities or your tax bill to, back to the institution that the vendor that sent you the bill, or forward it to the treasury. Or so what happens is that when you get a bill, you write on the back of it, because according to these sovereign citizens, they treat the bill as though it's like a check or an invoice, and you would write on the back, and apparently as part of the magic talisman, the magic spell for it to work, you have to write accepted for value, please forward to the treasury office, yada yada yada. And it has, for whatever reason, it has to be at a 45-degree angle on the document and in red pen.
Right.
Or the magic doesn't work.
That's
Some
the
of
new
them say you
that's the
have
new
to
abracadabra.
you got to put a thumb stamp on it too, and some of the even more crazy ones say the thumbprint has to be in blood.
Yeah, I was about to say blood over intent people. Those people.
Some of them have actually
over.
done that. Others just use red, like a red thumbprint, as in red ink. But others like go the full 9 yards and say blood and use actual blood. Just
I love
fucking
people
mess.
over the years. Like even when I was younger, we had an ice road. There was part of town that was like normally it would take you 35 minutes to drive. You could see the houses on the other side of a river, but it would take you like 45 minutes to drive there, or 5 minutes in the winter when they plowed an ice road every year. So. But I had friends. My dad was an OPP officer, and I had friends that would be like, "Oh, the cops can't follow you across the ice road." I'm like, "How do you figure?" And they're like, "Oh, it's not a legal roadway. They don't have jurisdiction." I'm like, "You're telling me
whatever.
You're running from the cops, and the lights are going, and you hit that fucking that water, like the frozen chunk of they plow it and everything, for Christ's sake, like it's road." And I'm like, "You mean to tell me your tires hit that, and the cops are just gonna slam the brakes on and sit on the edge like, oh, I fucking can't go
like in
after him."
RoboCop. Remember the
like-
movie RoboCop where he couldn't pass the jurisdiction boundary?
Oh my god. And that's the thing. It was like they had this imagination, like all of a sudden they could go across this and be like, ha 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 ha, ha and get away. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna tell you. They argued to me, and finally I'm like, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, just try it, see if it works. Like,
I had the video on my channel of the sovereign citizen who made it back to his house, so he thought the police couldn't arrest him.
I asked my dad years ago, what happens when a guy, because in the movies you always see them running for the border. I'm heading to Canada. And I said to my dad, because in American movies there was a lot of people who were always heading for Canada. And I said to my dad, I said, so what happens when you catch that guy in Canada? I'm like, he's like, well, the American police have radioed ahead. We've already shut down the road. So he just basically drives right into our trap. He said, and normally he said, we don't want them here. He said, so I actually walk them across the border back to the Americans. And give them back their prisoner. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I figured.
Our thing.
Sorry?
Somebody in the chat asked, why hasn't Marcel been arrested, as in Marcel Bisset, the sovereign citizen? He has been arrested multiple times. Marcel Bisset is not actually his real name. He changed it after being arrested several times.
But I was
I'm
just
sure
saying,
he's on the road to being arrested again.
I was just saying, extradition treaties are a thing. So no, you don't just, you're not safe harbor, you're not sanctuary the moment you cross the Canadian border.
They won't register him.
I don't know if most of these Americans realize how hard it is to get into Canada. Like their border security against us, like they won't. That my they went up there to do a truck show, right? And one of the guys driving material up there had a felony hot check that he was convicted for, and they turned him away for a felony hot check. That's it. The simple fact that you were a felon, not welcome in our country.
I had a friend try to come up visit me, and he had a DUI he didn't tell me about, and then he got interrogated. Next thing you know, he calls me at like the end of the, like it's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, what the fuck happened to you? You just disappeared. He's like, man, we were at the Canadian border for 11 hours. Like they separated him and his mother because they said, do you have a criminal record? And he said no. Because for him, it was just a DUI. And in the States, it was a misdemeanor at that point. But in Canada, it was a felony charge. So he said, well, no, because he just had a DUI. Well, to the Canadian, he was lying because he had a felony charge.
Yeah, but they're
So-
not about to let a fugitive come in if they're not about to let a felony hot check writer come in.
Well, but that's what
100%.
but to them it was just felony. All he sees is felony, and that's what I'm saying. To them, it was the same thing. A felony hot check writer and a felony DUI arrest. It's the same thing. All they saw is felony on the thing, not coming in.
Yeah, if you're in upper Minnesota, you have a better chance of running to Mexico than you do running to Canada.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, the U.S. probably has it's just a phone call to get you sent back, you know.
Well, the only other thing I would say to you is on that note, though, I do want to tell you how insecure it is at the same time if you go across one of the absolute infinite numbers of non-regulated crossings. If you go through a regulated crossing, yes. But I'm going to tell you, I live now. Now, America has drones that are flying up there and watching, and so I would not do this without ever telling them you cross the border. But where I grew up, you could go to a lake and you could snowmobile across the lake and you'd cross into America. And they had a really nice, popular restaurant that was on an island that was on the American side of the lake. And you would drive your snow machine there and you would pick up a phone. There was like a phone there, just like a little freaking phone booth phone sitting there. And you would pick it up and it was a direct line, like a red phone, right to immigration. And you'd pick up the phone and they knew where you're calling from because they knew where that phone came from. And you'd say, we're, here's my name, and I'm my friends and I were snowmobiled from here. We're here having lunch or dinner, and we're going to be leaving when we're done. And they'd say, well, how long you plan on staying? 2-3 hours, or whatever. And you had to phone them when you were leaving. So then, when you were leaving, there'd be a lineup of people at that phone, waiting for their turn to pick up the phone and say, yeah, my name, this is who I am, and we're leaving now. And they would register that you left the country again. But here's the thing: one day the phone was broken. And it wasn't working. And the guys, instead of waiting around, were like, well, fuck this. They just jumped on their sleds and drove back to Canada. Well, next thing you know, they were getting phone calls the next day from American authorities that were checking to see that they left America. So, I mean, they followed up and everything. Like,
that's funny, though. There's just a random phone.
America and Canada, the longest undefended border in the world. You literally just picked, and there was nothing stopping you from just going there except the police or the immigration knew that was a popular spot, and they would drive by with their snowmobiles, and they would come and check everybody and make sure that everybody had called in too. Like they did it. Like that's what we had to do. That was the procedure.
That's funny. Let's watch some more of this debate.
Yeah. Neat to see that kind of undefended shit though between our countries.
That does not mean that they're again. The courts have already said that not everything is absolutely right. Thanks, Sean. Turn that off.
Forgot to turn off that.
Anyway, as I was saying, the First Amendment is always, as I think you would agree that the First Amendment or none of the sections in the First Amendment are absolute, and that would include the right to a free press. Correct. So that you already see in the course that there is time, place, and manner restrictions are accountable on parts of the on issues of the free press, and Smith versus Cumming explicitly said that.
Right now, and I got a question for you. I'm hoping you can answer it. What are those time, place, manner restrictions, and where's the legal authority that fleshes them out? Like, what's the case law that fleshes out those time, place, and manner restrictions, and what are they? Like,
that would be. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I would say that would be about 50 years of precedent, because a lot of the issues involving time, place, and manner deal with case-by-case situations. So a lot of that is through a lot of judicial precedent, because, as you stated, time, place, and manner can mean a lot of things depending on the context. So permitting for a public gathering, permitting for a march, restricting a political campaign or political campaigning near a public building. Those are examples of time, place, and manner restrictions that are fleshed out, continue to be fleshed out by the courts, every day. So I couldn't really answer that question for you, because the answer is an entire embodiment of precedent and case law.
Well, let me try something on here for you and see what you think. And this is my thoughts on the time, place, and manner restrictions for not only free press recording in a public area like a building, but also even for the citizens, for time, place, and manner for stuff like trespassing charges or free speech outside, like in Adderley where they were blocking the jail driveway late at night. So I'm thinking the time restriction would be when the general public would be allowed. Like for me, as a video in City Hall, a time restriction for me would be whenever it's open to the general public. That would be a time restriction for me. I wouldn't be allowed to come there and video at a time when the general public was not allowed to be there.
Because they're afraid of being held accountable.
A manner restriction would be in such a manner that I didn't impede business or cause a disruption. And a place restriction would be, again, somewhere where the general public would be allowed to be, like in a non-restricted area. Would that sound like a good synopsis, I guess you could say there, of the time, place, manner restrictions given to somebody recording in a public building?
I mean, that's fine if that's what you feel that would be an accurate or an appropriate, time, place, and manner restriction when it comes to recording. That's fine. I mean, that is something that you can argue and you can advocate for, correct?
Well, right, because again, it's going based on the Supreme Court case where they said that the press has no more greater access than the general public. See, I'm thinking if the general public can go into, let's say, City Hall, like let's say I'm a member of the general public and I got those new spy glasses on that have the video camera inside and you can't even tell, and I can go into City Hall and public places and I can gather information, and you guy, the NBC2 guy with the video camera, he can't come in because he's got a camera. So why would I need the free press when the citizens can go and access more information than the press can because they got a camera?
All right, Paul.
Well, I think you already solved your own dilemma, right?
Yeah, this is where his arguments just start to get even worse. We talked about this a little bit before we went live, Arty and I, where he talks about the comparing himself and First Amendment auditors to legitimate press. And I understand that line is a little bit blurry, but he's trying to say that he should have all the access that free press has. And the great thing that Arty did was he just ceded that argument. He just said, okay, you're the same as legit press. Now you have to abide by all those things that free press has to. And that's where his argument falls apart, because he wants what free press can have or legit journalism can have, and then some. You could probably maybe articulate that even better than I did, because I.
Well, that's the thing. I think he operates under the presumption that the press are getting special treatment that the general populace doesn't, and I think that's where he's having an issue. He's operating under that presumption. So, because he thinks that the restrictions on recording in a semi-public forum like City Hall, for example, don't apply to the press, but they do. And I've already given the examples, especially in at least here in New Jersey, that anybody who wants to record at a courthouse or in a courtroom, they have to have permission, regardless of whether you're an individual citizen or you're a member of the media. So I've told him, like, and he's right. In many instances in the case law I've read, the court is not, when it comes to a strict First Amendment analysis, the court is understanding that in today's world, the lines between press and a regular member of the public has been very, very blurry. So trying to define who is or is not a member of the press is not something they like to go into. So, but notwithstanding, they are still subject to those same restrictions on recording. He seems to think that they're not, and that's why he keeps on advocating, well, the press can't have any special treatment than the media. Well, you're right. The press isn't allowed to record whatever the hell they want at City Hall. They're either restricted like you are, or they have to ask permission like you are.
Yeah, I had a video recently where one of the auditors, there was a legit TV channel that had a pre-scheduled interview at a police station, and this First Amendment auditor just tries to piggyback on them and get in the building. And they got the cameraman, the lady, reporter, and the high heels and all that. And they're there. They go to the door and they say, okay, we've got an appointment to interview so-and-so. And they start to let them in, the cameraman and the reporter lady. and this sovereign citizen, a sovereign citizen, First Amendment auditor, pretty much the same thing. He tries to like just push his way in the door, and he says, "I'm press too," and they ended up like tackling him to the ground and arresting him. And he's like, "But I'm the press." The difference is they had a pre-scheduled interview. The whole COVID thing. So the police station was closed to just visitors, but they had a pre-scheduled interview, and he thinks because he calls himself a journalist too, that he just gets to piggyback in on that.
Yeah.
That's not how that works.
Yeah. I thought that video was a perfect example of the difference between legitimate media and First Amendment auditors.
Even the concept of a press pass. I mean, the press pass is issued by the person who's being interviewed, or by the agency or governmental body or whatever. They're like, right. You could have a press pass for the White House and not have, and that press pass can be completely invalid in Congress. It's that specific.
See Glenn Serio try to get into the White House press room.
My God.
Yeah, he does that thing where he goes up and they say, "You can't be here," and he's like, "Or what?" I would love to see him say "or what" to the Secret Service.
That would be hilarious.
You want to talk about a bad message though? You want to talk about a shitty message though? It's things like that, whatever the fuck that woman's name is, that press secretary they have in there now. She's in there with her husband sitting there, who's the baseball player. He's not wearing a mask. He's asked repeatedly by their other reporters if he could put a mask on. He just ignores them. And then they expect people to actually, well, they don't expect it, let's face it, but we expect other people not to just act this way in public when they see their leaders, the people running the country behaving this way. It's ridiculous.
Oh, Arty, tell them the story real quick. Your video from just the other day, where the people show up at the lady's house.
Oh, yeah. So
I heard of this.
So yeah, this apparently happened the day before I saw it, and the reason I caught it was because somebody, a First Amendment auditor, it's slash sovereign citizen. I think he's actually definitely leaning on the sovereign sit in that scale. He was able to get video of this organization who are very, very in Idaho, who are very anti-mask and anti-vax on top of everything else. And so they got the idea that they are going to protest, and I use protest in big fuck off air quotes. One of the Department of Health officials at her house. I like to think I'm giving the benefit and thinking that they thought that that she was there at the house and was about to have like a virtual meeting with some other officials. Well, it turns out that she wasn't there. She was actually at the office at the time. But who was at the house was her kid, or at least one of her kids.
My God.
And so they decided, and so part of their protest was to just blast air horns, like a clip from the movie Scarface, and this crazy ass woman who was the camera woman was banging on a Home Depot a jug and just making noise for like about 5 minutes straight. And the thing is that loud. A neighbor called the official, and the official ended up calling the house, and it was clear. And the reason why I say it's clear is because this sovereign citizen spliced real-time footage of her reaction to the protest as it was happening at the house. So you can see that she was able to hear the noise through her phone call with her child, and she was obviously getting visibly upset because of what was happening. So she ended up having to call off the meeting and drive back home to make sure that her kid was okay.
Time to fucking jump in a helicopter and drop some hot tar on people.
Oh,
so
shit.
They put video of this lady crying after she got off of the phone with her son saying, "I have to go home because these people have my son so upset." They thought that was a victory so much so that
Yeah,
they put it
that's
in
sad.
their video.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This sovereign citizen I saw it because it was a premiered video. He actually took the time and effort to splice her real-time reaction on next to the protesters doing their thing.
Look at what we did. We fucking
Got 'em.
terrorized the child. Terrorized the child.
That's really what pisses me off about these people is because they demand, and they don't ask, they demand to be treated like the human being that they are. However, once you take a public office or once you're in opposition to them, you're no longer a human being to them. The demands that you want for yourself, they're not prepared to give to you as well. Man,
Yeah,
fuck those
I've noticed that there is a level of dehumanization when it comes to a lot of these groups, that they don't see the public officials as human beings, but just like cogs in the automaton that is government. When they don't realize that these are humans. They're your neighbors. They have lives. They have kids. They have their own aspirations.
Did you ever see the? Do you ever see the Family Guy where they break away and they start their own society after the apocalypse and they're like, oh, we don't need guns, we don't need, and then as slowly as things go along, they're like, I think we need some people whose job it is to maybe look out for us and to set rules because nothing's fucking working, right? So that slowly but surely they start. I think we need somebody whose job it is maybe to put out the fires, and we need somebody whose job it is maybe to make sure people are following the rules, and they just slowly rebuild fucking society again.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I do remember that one. Yeah, and the lady's son was 12, which really, or I think she said he was 12.
Yes.
And my son is 12, so I was thinking, how pissed I would be. I don't know that I wouldn't resort to violence.
I was gonna say you mess with
a rubber bullet shotgun.
You mess with my kid. You mess with my kid. I'm gonna have a serious problem with you.
I think they have arrest warrants.
Good.
Yeah.
They'd be lucky if I didn't run them fucking over when I came in. I have to say it straight up.
Yeah,
there'd be a claimed temporary insanity charge coming if they fucked with my children like that. That's bullshit.
There was at the very least there was this warrants for disturbing.
I mean that jokingly, by the way, YouTube. I need to say this. I mean that jokingly, YouTube. I wasn't actually condoning violence towards people. It was more of a statement of annoyance.
You're talking about
unfortunately, we have to say that though. Well, I agree, but we have to say that now because the way YouTube is. Next thing you know, I'm a hate speecher.
Yeah, I hate those people. Make it clear. I'm being skeptic, and I fucking hate those people.
Like when the two First Amendment auditors showed up at Kate from Masshole Report, they showed up at her house, live streaming outside of her house. She wasn't home, but her children were. And they're just live streaming outside of her house, just like really creepy voices like, Kate, we're here to see you. Just like we said we were going to. Like that was super creepy.
But that's dangerous for them too, because the only thing that they have going for them is that we're the more stable of the two fucking sets of people.
Right.
But I mean, they don't. But Jesus Christ,
it's only a matter of time before they find somebody who isn't. Like there's going to be somebody who's going to be there'll be a Second Amendment auditor. There'll be a Second Amendment auditor at the door to meet them.
Yeah, the thing is, you start fucking with people's families, and you'll start really quickly finding out where people's lines really are, and sometimes they're a little bit farther beyond where you might think they are.
Yep. They like
that's the thing.
You could do it to the wrong person. Make my day laws exist, people.
No, absolutely. Well, not in Canada. Not in Canada, they don't. But let's face it, it's hard to once that person makes your day. You've lost the argument, even if he goes to prison. So. Or he or she, you know what I mean?
Comfort Doll in the chat brought up something I forgot, that the First Amendment auditors that went to Kate's house, it did imply that they had guns.
Oh, and one of the guys at the house was armed. He was open carry.
Yeah, he said that he was, which makes it even. I think at that point. I mean, you're kind of blurring the lines on if somebody's in the house and he hears that you're at his house with a gun, that's provocation. That
Time
from-
to offer a few of them some X-Lax cookies, you know. Hey, you guys been up here for a while. Do y'all want some cookies?
yeah. But if you're saying that you're at outside of my house with weapons, that's provocation enough to warrant a response. At least I think you could make an argument that it does.
Well, the nice thing is in Canada, all I'd have to do is call the police and say that there are people outside my house with weapons, and they would probably show up a little different than they do in the States. The weapons get very. You'd probably have cops. Like, okay, so my friends when they were younger had a cap gun in a car, and they were firing it out a window. Like they're being fucking dumb, straight up. They were firing it out a window while they're driving along. But I mean, cap gun is like pop, pop, like it doesn't even make a. But truck driver called the police and said that there was a vehicle with teenagers in it and they think they had a gun. And my friends entered the Tim Hortons drive-thru, and about the time he said, oh, they pulled into Tim Hortons, he told them. And then so by the time they made out the drive-thru, he said it was my friends. I had 4 of my friends were in that vehicle. And they said it was all of them told me the same story. It was like something out of the movies. He said they pulled out of the drive-thru and the cars were literally sliding sideways as they braked, and all the guns come out. 5 cop cars all at once, guns on the roof, freeze! And like my buddy gets out of the vehicle, this is the best part. He's holding his fucking coffee, and they're yelling commands, right? Like, move away from the car. And my one friend said, he shits me not. He's like, I'm holding my hot coffee in my hand, and I'm literally going to the officer, going like, officer, I'm burning my hand. Can I put my coffee down on the hood of the car? And then they cuffed him and put him in the police car and took him to the police station and all that stuff until they figured out what the fuck was happening.
Right. In my neighborhood, you would call the police and be like, hey, there's people outside and they don't have guns. What should I do?
There's people or there's cops in the United States. I was in Colorado. I was probably in my early 20s, and I was messing around with playing with one of my friend's brothers. He was about 10. He had this plastic gun. It was orange, but it had been spray painted black, and it was night.
Oh, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, that's very bad idea. So the cops come up, they handcuff me, they handcuff him, and they take the gun, and they're like, if this was a real gun, we'd be taking you in. But it's not a real gun. But then he takes out his service 9mm and puts it right next to the gun. It is the exact same shape. There's literally the only way to tell them apart is the fake one is orange, plastic.
Well, that's how it used to always be. Is the orange? They'd have that orange tip, but that was the common thing. Is that kids
painted it? They painted it so that it was the same.
Yeah, they paint it so you wouldn't know.
Right. So it was if you were at night, obviously you're not going to be able to tell the difference between that and a blued steel, right? It's going to look the same at night.
Well, there was a military in the States a couple of years ago, and the videos where the police roll up on him, and there was reports of a kid with a gun, and he had a cap gun, but the whole thing was painted black. And then the police roll up right up on top of him, and then the kid reaches into his waist and they shoot him. And I remember watching it and being like, well, what the fuck else is going to happen when that? And he was a very young kid. It was a super bad situation.
His name was,
you know the one I'm talking about. Right? You've seen that. Yeah, you've seen that video. Right. It's extremely sad because my dad is a cop, and I watch that always trying to be objective and thinking about everybody involved. And it's really hard to watch situations like that. And because, that there's a moment there where those police suddenly think that their lives are in danger. And it's easy for people on the outside watching through a screen to say, oh, look at the decision they chose to make. But I mean, in that moment, if you hesitate, that could be the difference between you going home to your family that night or not. It's really
all anybody has to do is look at the Applebee's video, I think it is, where the guy walks out and he has a gun on him, and the cops are right behind him within like 2 to 3 feet, and it literally takes him less than a second to pull the gun out, turn on the cops, and fire the first shot. Like it's not.
Everybody thinks.
Unfortunately, cops just don't have. When you're in high action scenarios, they don't have a lot of time to think. It's unfortunate because you'd like them to. You'd like to say, okay, well, go ahead and secure the guy, previous, and then the guys go, oh, but what about my rights? My rights, and 90% of the people ain't gonna have 99% of the people ain't gonna have anything on them. So, but it's that 1% that ruins it for everyone.
And the story with Tamir Rice also was, it wasn't just a report of somebody with a gun. It was a report of somebody brandishing the gun, and
he was pointing it at people. Apparently, he was pretending it was real to other people. I thought
exactly, and that's what a lot of the media left out. But when you actually hear the 911 calls, it's a whole different story than somebody said somebody had a toy gun.
Yeah, no, exactly. But that video, the cops, unfortunately, I mean, you see when you watch it, the cops they're looking for him, and then they roll right up on top of him, basically. And so they get out of the vehicle. Well, the second they step out of the vehicle, he's already got his hand in his waistband. Well, I mean, if that was me, I mean, all of a sudden you're face to face, you're literally feet from him, and your adrenaline would have spiked so hard that your eyes would have popped out of your head all of a sudden.
Hey, Schrodinger, I do have to leave now to go feed my leech. So he's looking at me and trying to keep asking me when we're going to do dinner. But I want to say thank you, man, for having me on. I'm sorry.
I was just going to tell you that you weren't welcome here anymore anyway.
Well, I appreciate it. It makes my departure so much easier to know that. But I do want to say thank you to everybody on the panel. Bullionator, good to talk to you. I haven't talked to you in a while. Arty, good to speak with you again. And Schrodinger and Brainy. I mean, we always talk, but you know, I love both of you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you to everybody in the chat who supports Schrodinger's cat. I believe what he is doing is invaluable. For every one of these pieces of shit that put up a video for clicks and likes harassing people, there's people like Schrodinger's cat to show them how much of a fucking idiot they really are. I'll have a First Amendment Auditor Karen video coming out tomorrow for, what was his name? Auditing America? Was that it?
Oh, yes. That guy.
Yeah. Stop it. That guy.
Well, we had a talk yesterday. Team called me and he was like, can you help me figure out who this dude is? And it took me, about a few minutes of listening to his voice. I'm like, I know that dude.
I wouldn't even say a few minutes. I think you listened to like 30 seconds and was like, yeah, I know that guy. I think it's Auditing America. Sure enough was.
Yeah,
is he the one that's actually nice to people? I can't remember. There's one of them that's actually quite pleasant.
No, that is definitely not him.
No,
he's one where the guy was actually generally pleasant, but he's still a douchebag. But you know,
well, no, again, he's got like the sort of Los Angeles Hispanic accent. He's really confrontational with police.
And then when they get confrontational with him, he goes, stop, you're harassing me. Stop it.
Oh, yeah. No, this isn't the one I was thinking of. But yes, I know this one. He's a pretty predominant one, 165,000 subscribers.
Yeah, he's got over 100,000.
Oh, well, I expect some hate from his audience. But you guys have a great night. Have a great rest of the show. And you take care, my friend.
All right. Night. Have a good one.
Take it easy.
Later.
Oh yeah, C. Carl Go for $2 American says, "What is the people's? What is the panel opinion of Audit the Audit?" So if you don't know, Audit the Audit is basically I think he's pretty much pro auditor. He doesn't do audits that I've seen. He does reviews of audits, and he leans on the side of auditors, but at the same time, he's a little bit fair. I've looked at a lot of his channel, of his content, for something to like maybe criticize him on, and I haven't really found anything to really sink my teeth into. So I'm pretty cool with Audit the Audit.
Yeah. Sorry.
Maybe have y'all not heard of him?
I've heard of him.
I've heard about the audit.
I think I've seen a handful of videos, but not enough to really give an opinion on him.
Yeah. Gary W says Audit the Audit is totally anti-cop, and I agree with you. He is totally anti-cop, but at the same time, if I'm going to make a video to be intellectually honest, I've got to have something that I can say and if you look at a lot of my content, I'm not even saying they're doing anything illegal. I'm saying they're doing something that's just wrong. Like, just as a human, it's wrong. And being anti-cop in and of itself.
Well, these anti-cop people, they're always anti-cop whenever the cops are, because they're fucking with their shit. And it's because they're not doing things right. And then the same person, as soon as his roommate steals his fucking marijuana out of his sock drawer, as an example, I'm just using it as a satirical example, but soon as they need the cops, they're the first one to scream as loud as they can about the popo not helping them.
Right. I mean, how many auditors have we seen that somebody has slapped the camera out of their hand, or, you know, pushed them or knocked them over?
But it's tyranny because they're not helping him.
Yeah. No, well, I'm talking about just like a regular person, not a cop, slaps the phone out of somebody's hand, and the first thing they do is call the police. And in their video, and then want to argue with the police when they get there that, you know, they say they're anti-cop, but then they want to call the cops as soon as something happens.
No, I agree. Yeah, but it's a whole double standard. I mean, they're just it's all the crybabiness.
We've totally gotten away from this whole debate thing.
We got to get back on the debate. We're having a great time. We're having a great time, but go back to it then. Yeah, it's already 6:30. Geez, well, my time.
I mean, the guy with the camera still has to have the News 2, NBC 2 still would need to have permission to be able to record. If they're in a courthouse or wanting to record some news story in a courthouse, they would need prior authorization in order to be able to film. Whereas if you have those, you know, X-ray specs or Google Glass, and the official's none the wiser, then you're able to get away with it.
Right, but I'm not talking about a courthouse. I'm talking about, you know, City Hall, where
courthouse, City Hall. I mean, the courthouse has open lobbies just the same as the City Hall does. The restriction is still there.
Well, not here in Florida. It's a little bit different. So some courthouses, you can't even go into the courthouse with a video camera. And in some districts down here, you can go into the courthouse with a camera. You just can't go into the courtroom. And
right, I understand that many vicinages, like in New Jersey, for example, the administrative judge has a far more discretion, just as it sounds like with Florida, to have their rules in terms of video recording and recording access. Yeah.
Right. Well, the Supreme Court of Florida pretty much stated cameras are allowed in the courtroom unless you can prove it's to the detriment of the defendant, or, you know, what have you not, obviously, and obviously sex crimes and, you know, stuff of that nature. So they're a little bit more lenient. I've been able to get into a couple of courtrooms. But yeah, let's.
I mean, well, that's fine. I mean, I understand that. I know in New Jersey it's a bit more restrictive here. I know that in New Jersey it's generally speaking that it's restricted unless you make an application. I know in other jurisdictions, you know, in what was it? I think Arizona, that you have to make a request, and in general the courts should allow it. And if they do not allow, they have to, you know, explain or make an explicit basis for why they wouldn't allow the video recording in a courtroom. So it's different depending on which state that you're in. But yeah. So I mean, I didn't know if you wanted to move on to a different topic or not. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, yeah, we pretty much covered that aspect of it, and we can move on maybe to something else. I picked the first one. I'll let you pick the second.
Yeah, and this is where it gets weird.
Okay, what was the? You know, I had it off the top of my head and I can't remember it. 1 second. Shoot.
There's a Gary W. posted, when you abuse a right, you can sometimes lose a right. Did you want to maybe go into civil right, natural right? And
oh, sure. Yeah, we can do that. I think that's what it was. There we go. Perfect. So I guess to start off with that, you know, what would you say is the difference between a natural right and a civil right?
A natural right is something that you are born with, that is given to you by either, you know, your creator or by nature, whichever ideology you subscribe to. But a natural right is something that the government doesn't give you, and you have no need to wait for government to be set up in order to exercise it. I tell people to understand their natural rights, to imagine themselves alone on a deserted island, what rights they would be afforded, if they had 2 legs to travel, if they had a voice box to speak, if they had hands to defend themselves. So,
Okay, then so then what is a civil right?
a
Dave, are you
civil
there?
right is
All right. Just my own personal opinion, being born with rights, either given to you by a creator or nature, that's not a thing. Like so my personal, oh geez, how do I word this? Rights are either bestowed upon you by the society that you live in, or they're bestowed upon you by your ability to defend your rights. And I don't see rights granted in any other way. Either the collective power of your society grants you rights, or you're the biggest, toughest kid on the playground and you can defend your own rights. Is there a third way that I'm not seeing?
Well, and here's the thing. Like, they're First Amendment auditors, right? The First Amendment is not a right. It is a liberty. And that's something they don't understand. Like, you try to tell them...
Well, I think he mentions that, though, in his discussion as he talks with a lot. He mentions something, or at least he alludes to that that idea when he starts talking about it. But I also go into the idea, like, I agree with him to the extent that, I think, there are certain rights that, that are, inherent within us. But the problem is, at the end of the day, they can only be protected by, you and I and others who also adhere to that as well. So, I mean, you could say it's society, but yeah, it's ultimately, at the end of the day, it's contingent upon, your fellow man to be able to uphold to them and adhere to them. No matter how much you say that they come from beyond or come from something that's more inherent to us than what's what's in our own minds. But he alludes to the idea that rights, that the First Amendment is not a natural right. He said it's a civil right it's a natural right that's converted to a civil right, or something to that effect. Which, I mean, and then my opinion is like, well, then what's the point of making the distinction when at the end of the day you're relying on a civil right and not a natural one?
Right. Yeah, he gets really convoluted.
Honestly, yeah. At the end of the day, it was like a half hour, 45 minutes of nothing, like without any real point being made. Which honestly, it was a kind of a waste of time.
Right. Yeah, and I was in the chat. I know you were busy doing a debate, and I understand that because I've been in debates and people are like, oh, you didn't see that in the chat? I'm like, no. Oh, and Asian Canadian, I'm sorry, I missed your super chat for $5. Can you reword it though? Because I'm gonna read it as it's written. I think maybe it says, Arty, I got you. Cats, give me $2 million or they will watch Gale for 24 hours. I'm not sure if I know what that means.
Oh my God, I know what that means, and no.
Okay, then tell me.
Oh my God, apparently my channel really wants to like damage my brain because they keep on telling me I need to watch Gail Cord, who is this insane woman on YouTube.
Are you talking about Gail Cord Schuler?
Yes.
Yes.
They're telling me to watch her, and I keep telling them no. And they won't take no for an answer.
I'll do it. Wait. What did she do? I like crazy shit.
We use her videos on Derp News.
I want nothing to do with it.
We use our videos as a joke segment on Derp News over on Sit Down with Debunkers.
All right, here we go. Well, yeah, don't get me wrong. Nothing serious on my channel. We know what we're in for on my channel. Don't worry.
I was inebriated. I was told to go watch her. I watched the first 5 minutes when she started talking about. Oh my God! I don't even want to remember what it was talking about.
She thinks
really
she's.
Gross, and I think I ended the stream right after. Like,
she thinks Brent Spiner has been replaced by some reptilian clone thing, and that she's married to the real Brent Spiner. I don't know why Brent Spiner. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
Do we
she's
wanna-
obsessed with Brent Spiner.
Over? Does somebody have access to like a couple minutes so we can look at and like?
I'm leaving the stream if you start playing this shit.
No, you're not.
And to God, I am perfectly content with going back to playing Cyberpunk. If you start playing that woman, yes, yeast bombs. There it is. Thank you,
that
Kat.
bad, jeez.
What yeast bomb?
It
Can't be that bad. See, like maybe I'm like jaded because like I watch crazy shit as part of what I do on my show.
Yeah, check out this lady because the chat's going crazy. They want to see some Gale.
Oh my God, I bet they do.
We'll come to Brainy Beaver next week then, because I guess it sounds like I got a new topic.
I actually have plenty of her videos on my machine because I produce Dirt News, and those videos are all sitting there on my hard drive. So,
Well, we've got our Trixis Karen that says that she's going to leave if we play it. So,
come on, it's just
see what I did.
this is like the best
I'm
one.
like Karen. I'm
Okay,
leaving
listen,
the
you guys
premises. I'm not
cannot
asking you
do
to
this.
speak to the manager.
Not do this to me. I have to now go find out what we're talking about. Okay.
All right.
I can bring it
All
up
right, well,
anytime.
Then
You tell me how to spell Gale at least.
GAIL.
GAIL.
Oh shit! My FTFE's video's coming out. It's premiering now. Fuck, I'm not there. Okay, well I'm an idiot. I've got so many things going on. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. Keep talking.
No one else.
Did I break something?
No, no one else
no.
is talking.
Bit more stupid.
What? Sorry. What was I even saying? I lost track of everything here.
I was asking you to be more stupid.
Devin Schiff says Gale is a self-opening pinata. I love it. I'm gonna have to use that. Anyone?
I have no idea.
I guess we're gonna go on with looking at. There's an hour and 13 minutes left of your original debate, Arty. By the way.
I know, and we could probably skip at least from where we start. We could probably skip ahead by about at least half an hour, 45 minutes, because there's nothing about this whole natural versus civil rights thing that goes absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, at the end there is where he really just goes off the rails, and the chat was just like, "What are you even talking about, dude?"
So
to the peeping tom laws and that sort of thing.
Should I skip a chunk of it then?
Yes.
Go to the last 40
Okay,
minutes.
either the last half hour or last 40 minutes.
Okay, we'll pop over there and see how it goes. Because I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. It's just we're not making much progress here.
Yeah.
All right. Here's 40 minutes, 29 seconds left.
You use these services, you know, if you're a resident of Chicago, Illinois, and you know you got to go through the Chicago Power and Water or whatever. So if you live there, you're pretty much forced. There's no other where to go to get these services. And these people that work there realize that, so they don't have to treat you kindly. You know what I mean? They don't have to give you a smile when you come in and say, "Hey, Mr. Arty, how are you today?" They can be like, "Whatever, Arty, you got your freaking money, and if you don't, I'm going to shut your power off." You know what I mean? Like these people have become too comfortable in their jobs, treating the people who are forced to pay their salaries through taxes, and they're treating us like shit.
I mean, I don't know if I would say that. I mean, in my experience, most of the time when I deal with local clerks, they've been pretty cordial to me.
Well, of course, we know not to take like our general experience as something to base a theory on.
Well, that sounds like something that you're making a general assumption that all public workers are, you know, do nothing assholes that aren't going to give you the time of day.
I didn't say that at all. I just said that at most municipalities that you'll look at, you'll see that there's a lower level of service compared to a private business.
And then my response to that is, public records laws help alleviate that. Being active in your local municipality also helps with that. Oftentimes, I think a lot of people don't realize just how little people are active in their local government, and then they don't realize what's going on until it's too late, and they find out that the city officials have been doing nothing because nobody's being active in that regard. My point, and that's the thing that I think we're almost in agreement, but I think we have a distinct difference in how we are trying to hold public officials to account. My bit would be focusing primarily on public records access, being active in your local government, and being active in your local government, potentially saying, hey, I'm going to help, elect somebody else who's going to be doing a better job than you, and hold, public workers to account when they're not doing their jobs correctly, or they're not giving me the level of service that I think I deserve as a taxpayer, versus, going out to your camera in the public building, and where the only extent of what you're doing is getting a rise out of a public official who is already going to be in a bad mood because they're being recorded for no reason other than being recorded, and then when the person doesn't stop when asked to, they're going to be in a salty mood.
Okay, well let me ask this, because what you just said there, I just want to flip it around real quick about people being recorded and them not wanting to be recorded for no other reason than being recorded.
What was that?
I was just saying this is where it starts with the whole PB thing. Right here is where it starts. So
Okay. Here we go, guys. Audience.
Recorded. Is it okay for our government to record everything we do?
No.
But they do that, correct?
Is the government recording me right now in my own home?
I mean, I don't know if they've got any kind of like carnivore program running on YouTube or anything like that, or I'm not very tech savvy, but and again, I don't know if it's just
last I checked, they do need a warrant if they want to search my house, or if they want to tap my house. So the government cannot. So the government cannot record anything that I do anything I do in my own home.
Right. Okay. And what about like Google? Is Google allowed to record you in your home? Like, let's say Alexa or your phone?
With my consent. With my consent.
Right, because you had to buy the product, right?
And I made agreements to it, and many of them give me the option to turn on certain privacy controls. But I made agreements saying that, okay, you can take my information.
Okay, so basically what I'm getting at here in this age of surveillance, could you give me a logical explanation why somebody wouldn't want to be recorded unless they're doing something wrong? Could you give me a reason why they wouldn't want to be recorded when they're already being recorded, even as I'm recording them?
Pause.
Because that person doesn't know you.
There's absolutely tons of reasons why I wouldn't want to be recorded if I'm not doing something wrong. Like, what if? What if my kid is telling me that he's being bullied at school and asking me what to do about it? I don't want that conversation recorded. Or what if my preteen daughter is going through the change that daughters go through? I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't want that recorded. So fuck yeah, there's tons of reasons.
I mean, I don't think he would like the idea of police making that similar argument.
Yeah.
I feel like he doesn't really listen to what he's saying, and he likes to flip things around, but he doesn't like it. I don't think he would like it if I flipped it right back at him. Like, okay, what if? If the police make that argument, that justification?
I know exactly what's happening right here, Arty. He showed up unprepared for this debate, and he's drowning, and he's grasping at straws. That's what's happening right now. It was pretty evident.
Well, at that point, we were really getting tired, and it was the whole rights and not rights thing was getting really asinine, and I think we had to move on to something else. I don't think you really had anything much else to go on, especially when his entire thing is like, I should be able to record public officials whenever and however I want, in a public space, regardless of how it's defined, regardless of how, whether there are other means of being able to hold public officials accountable. I want to be able to record, period, end of.
Right. And he just didn't have a coherent argument for it. And you can see by the road he's going down right now, and it only gets worse. I guess we could keep going. I just wanted to make that one point that he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah.
And they don't know why you're recording them, because when they're being recorded by their own employer, they agreed to do that. They agreed to that situation. They didn't agree to be recorded by you.
But they agreed to follow all the laws that the legislatures and the courts in that passed, correct?
Yes. And those laws sometimes allow those public buildings to be to have restrictions on audio and video recording by members of the general public.
Did the courts say that there's no privacy in public?
Depends on what. Well, it depends on what you define as public.
An area where someone can overhear what you're saying.
I feel like that's a little bit too broad to be defined as a public area, because my own workplace can be a public place if that's the case. People can overhear me talking.
Right. So somebody overheard you talking. Let's say, I don't know. Let's say you were going to commit fraud or something, and they called the police on you. And would they be held liable in any way if you weren't going to commit fraud, or even if you did commit fraud, would there be any liability on their behalf? For eavesdropping.
For eavesdropping?
Yeah, eavesdropping, wiretapping. We have a wiretapping law here in Florida.
Right.
So, you're not allowed to audio and record people in a private setting. So, you're saying at your work, which I'm guessing maybe is like an open vestibule area where you can hear people in the next vestibule. If I was recording in the next vestibule and I caught your conversation, would I be prosecutable under the Wiretap Act?
I wouldn't know. I don't know what the Wiretap Act is in the state of Florida.
Well, I mean, let's say in your area, let's say in your state.
I honestly couldn't tell. I don't. My limitation on the wiretapping incidents is I have a limited knowledge on wiretapping, so I'm not going to give an opinion on that.
Okay. Well, basically, I think the gist of it is that if you're where other people can hear you, that it wouldn't be considered a private area. Like a private area would be like an office where you could shut the door and it would just be you two talking, or, like a bathroom has been, obviously ruled to be a private area. But, if you're in a public lobby, like let's say I'm in the police lobby, okay, and I wander into the police lobby and I gotta request a report for an arrest, and I don't have a camera or nothing with me. I'm just, there by myself. And there's a lady there, and she's a sex crime victim. And the officer is taking her information there in the lobby. And I overhear that information, that personal information that I'm not supposed to hear. Would I be in trouble, or would the officer be in trouble?
You'd be in trouble.
I'd be in trouble because I overheard them?
Not because you overheard them. If you were recording it and you were, if you recorded the conversation.
Well, I just said that I didn't have a recorder. I was just a regular citizen in there. And I overheard their information.
Then no, you wouldn't be liable.
Okay, but I would be liable if I recorded that information.
Yes.
Do you know what law that would actually be, that I'd be liable for recording?
Yeah, and this is where me and several other people in the chat just started typing, what in the blue hell does this have to do with First Amendment auditing? Because he's just totally off topic now. He's been beat down so bad that he's just diverting the whole conversation into a whole separate topic because he's got nothing to defend First Amendment auditing.
He diverted the issue of First Amendment auditing with now a general privacy rights and what we define as who has a reasonable expectation of privacy, and then into wiretapping laws, which they're only tangentially related to First Amendment auditing, but we're completely off topic at that point.
Right. So any First Amendment auditors or auditor groupies in the chat, if this is the best that you have to offer, then you guys need to go back to the drawing board and try harder. Oh, and one more thing before we get started back up. In the chat, in your chat, Arty, there was several First Amendment auditors, including the one
the two I saw was Rights Crispy and
Yep.
Pike's Peak auditing
Pike-
or auditors or something like that.
Auditor. Yep. And each and every one of them, I did the little @ thing so I know that they saw. I put my email address in there and said, hit me up, come on my channel, and nothing. I haven't gotten anything from any of them. There was at least 6 different auditors in there that I told, hit up my email, let's have a talk. None of them have responded. And I'm not bragging, but I know that at this point they know who I am. More stupid.
That
Probably because if the police department has a restriction on audio and video recording in that lobby, that would be the law.
mine doesn't.
Okay.
So what would I be in trouble for?
You wouldn't be in trouble probably unless you disseminated that information.
Okay. What about like HIPAA laws? You know, like the medical records law. Let's say I'm at a medical facility, and again I overhear
this is where
some
he thinks he got a
information, or even
gotcha
I
on me.
record it. Let's say
Let
on my
it play, though.
camera. Would I be?
What was that?
Oh, I was just saying this is where he thought he got a gotcha on me, but I was just saying that you didn't have to pause it. You can let it play.
Okay.
Would I be liable under that? Even if I did disseminate that, I would be liable for that.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I could answer that question.
All right. Okay. All right. The reason I was asking is because HIPAA specifically applies to medical personnel and their, people that they farm work out to, like labs and stuff. There's no actual obligation on me to keep someone's medical history private, so if I'm walking down the road and I see your medical file there and I pick it up and I read it and then I take it and I broadcast it on YouTube, there's no law against that for
Probably not.
information.
Yeah, it may there. I wouldn't know. I don't think it would be under HIPAA. I mean, you'd probably be considered an asshole for doing something like that. But I don't know if I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would say that it's inherently illegal. I suppose it would depend on the jurisdiction that you're in. But you would probably be judged in the court of public opinion for sure if you decided that you were going to disseminate somebody's personal medical information.
Right, that's something I would never do. I was just using it as a hypothesis there. But all right. Well, I mean,
that's what I thought, Deacon. I saw Deacon in the chat. She's a former law enforcement, and that's what I thought. I'm sure there are actual privacy laws that could get you in trouble for disseminating certain information. It just wouldn't be under HIPAA. It'd be probably under something else.
Be under something else.
Yeah, because as you alluded to, HIPAA.
I just couldn't help but point out that he doesn't know what a hypothesis is.
Sorry, I
Like
vanished
that-
for a bit there. I'm back.
Yeah, he just said the word hypothesis and he has no idea what it means.
That's
And
amazing.
then he's talking about HIPAA and saying what was it he was saying, like if he put out somebody's medical information because he overheard it
Or recorded it, yeah.
right, yeah, that, like you said, that would just make you an asshole. And then he said I would never do that, but he's in this debate representing First Amendment auditors, and many of them have done that. Like I've got many
I've seen
them.
way too many First Amendment auditors who not they would, some of them would claim, oh, I would never do X, Y, and Z. The big one being I would never record children, and then I see them recording children.
Oh no, I've seen the video of them with a child in frame telling the parent, I'm not recording your child. Or they say, my camera's not on. Or somebody says, well, I don't want to be recorded. And then they pretend to turn it off. And they're like, okay, I turned the camera off. These aren't honorable people. Don't even pretend. I've got them in police lobbies when the cop comes out and says, look, there's crime victims in here. And they're like, oh, I'm not recording them. And then I'll cut to the scene where, okay, well, here's where you recorded them. And let's not forget the First Amendment auditor that went to the battered women's shelter.
Yeah, and I brought that up later on in this debate too, which we'll
I
we'll
remember
get
that.
into.
All right, that's all.
How
I
would you
had to
ever
say.
think he'd be allowed to do that? That's ridiculous.
restricted
And
to
they didn't
medical
arrest
personnel and vendors handling medical information, and not to the general public. But I think the issue here is, as we allude to, our ultimate discussion is, again, whether or not well, I think we kind of established that governments, local and state, federal, have the power, have the authority to regulate the conduct that goes on in their buildings, up to and including restricting the usage of audio and video devices on public property. I think I understand if you disagree with that on a philosophical level. I can understand that, but I think the issue is whether or not they actually have that authority to do that, and I think they do. Now, given whether or not you violated that in a specific circumstance is dependent upon the jurisdiction that you're in, whether it's a local office, state office, federal office, and the type of category of office that you're in, etc. That can vary. I mean, I think we also established that as well. So I think the other discussion that we would have is, or excuse me. So I think let me just rewind. I think that's where we kind of have that common understanding. Is that right? On what the government can and can't restrict.
Well, I do agree that the government can restrict actions, but not lawful actions. And again, I've already beat 2 cases here in Florida. I got one in Alabama and one in Georgia. But I do believe that the press, be it with a pad or with a video camera, has the right to enter public buildings, public spaces, and collect content on what their public officials do. Again, I've already beat 2 cases down here in Florida, and I'm looking to beat some more cases, one in Alabama, Pritchard. The other one I just acquired in Paulding County, Georgia, but I will eventually make it to all the states. I've been in about 8 or 9 so far, and a lot
You're
of seem to.
I'm sorry. What do you just to clarify? What do you say? You beat in cases? You mean like criminal trespass charges?
Yes.
Okay. Now, have you ever filed suit against public officials?
Yeah, he said that, and I took note of that at the time and went back and kind of took a look at his channel, and I see no evidence of, I mean, it seems to me like he would be shouting it from the rooftops if he beat one of these cases on the merits. I can't find anything for that. Did you find anything?
In terms of his criminal record, no. I did find his civil suits that I later talked about, that I later bring up right here in a bit. So I brought up his civil suits that he filed against these officials, he's lost them all. He claims it's because he's pro se, but I don't find that to be a good enough excuse, because you still have the ability to either get an attorney, which he seems to advertise on his channel but doesn't utilize them, which is odd. He advertised them in his. He has a link to a law firm in his description, like for all your legal needs or something like that. Megajustice.com. Go figure. But he doesn't use them when he's filing suit, so which is odd. But yeah, he files these suits pro se, and I have all the documentation that he's filed, and they're all kind of pro se, as you would expect. And he lost them, even though the court, I think in one case, the court gave him 2 chances to file an amended complaint, and he failed to do so, or he didn't even respond. And the court just slapped him down and dismissed his actions. And they granted the motion to dismiss. So,
yeah, as you'd expect. I mean, all of these people, and sovereign citizens too, talk about all of these cases that they've beat and lawsuits that they've won, and it's so rare. I mean, there's a couple of them that they've won because the police overstepped. I know Eric Brandt won some money recently. Well, he didn't win on the merits. There was a settlement, and he got a little bit of money out of it. But that's out of, he says that he's been arrested something like 70 times, and he won one case that settled, and he got a little bit of money. Yeah. That's out of the entirety of all these auditors and sovereign citizens who say they've won all these cases. They never produce anything.
Mm. Well,
$10 from Chris Reynolds says, "So glad I found this channel. Watch you and VF, that's Vilified Freedom, every day now. Keep up the great work. Well, the only reason that Vilified Freedom and I keep putting out videos is because people keep watching them and appear to keep enjoying them. So thank you, Chris Reynolds, for watching.
Hey, Schrodinger. Oh, wait, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Sorry, I couldn't see my icon bouncing around because I got the chat window still up. That's better. Hey, listen, this has been a pleasure, but I have been away from my family for like 6 hours at this point, and I should definitely help my wife put the kids to bed and do all that fun stuff. So I would stick around for the rest of the show, but I'm going to bow out, I think. Okay.
No, we're going to wind it down. We're going on. We just hit the 2 hour mark.
Yeah, I think it'd probably be best to go here.
Oh, okay. You're going to shut it down.
Yeah.
I'll stick around for pleasantries and stuff like that. Then, no big deal. Yeah, I'm not in a hurry, but you know what I mean.
Oh, what do you want to do, Arty? About another 15 minutes and wrap it up, and Beaver can stay here with us.
Yeah, another. We could probably skip ahead another 5 minutes, and that's when we'll probably get into the whole Peeping Tom issue, which I think was the coup de grace of the debate.
Yeah. So let's go till what time is it right now? It's 8 p.m. We'll shut it down by 8:20.
Yeah.
How about that? Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm good.
It's not the first time I tried to coerce a beaver.
Right, like the White House, the Pentagon.
Courthouses.
Obviously, right, situations like that. But again, these are places, again, that are not open generally to the public. I mean, if the public just can't wander into the White House, the public can't just wander into the Pentagon, they can't wander into the jail cell to interview a prisoner. But if the door is open and the public's allowed to walk in there,
if the public's allowed to walk in there, you're assuming that because of that, then you have the unfettered right to record whatever you see.
From a public place, yeah, the plain view doctrine.
The plain view doctrine has... Okay, what do you mean by plain view doctrine? I think I remember you using that before.
Basically, anywhere you're legally allowed to stand, anything that you can see is able to be recorded. Like if I'm standing on the sidewalk and,
And go in and look into a public building?
Look in anywhere. Look into a house that has its blinds open. If there's some lady in her living room dancing around naked with her blinds open and I'm on the sidewalk and I'm legally allowed to be there, then I'm legally allowed to record whatever I can see.
Okay, I do know that you do know that there are Peeping Tom laws, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
So I guess you find Peeping Tom laws to be unconstitutional?
No, not at all.
You literally just described being a Peeping Tom.
Absolutely no, I did not.
You said that if a woman is inside her house dancing half naked and you are outside looking in the window, you're saying that because you're out in public, you can record what she's doing.
Absolutely.
That is literally the definition of a Peeping Tom.
That meets the elements of the Peeping Tom, so it wouldn't have nothing to do with creeping around the curtilage of the house or anything of that nature. It says specifically that a Peeping Tom is an innocent citizen walking by, maybe recording his neighborhood, who turns around and sees a lady naked in her window. He's now a Peeping Tom. That's what
you can be charged with that. Yes, because you're looking and recording what's going on where in somebody's home where somebody has the reasonable expectation of privacy, regardless of whether their blinds are open or not.
Really? So what about like a backyard? What about like a backyard? Let's say it's a backyard. They got a 6-foot privacy fence. Neighbors laying out there naked, sunbathing, and my second-story home, I could see right in there. I record that.
Yeah.
That's Peeping Tom?
Yes.
Oh my God, dude! You know how many?
Sorry, it's just the way it's just the way. Yes, like fuck.
Right, and I just to back up what Arty was just saying, OPT lawyer in the chat said in all caps to what the guy was saying about the plain view doctrine. He put in all caps, that is not the plain view doctrine! ! And then when he talks about looking at the naked woman, he said, would I be a Peeping Tom? OPT lawyer said, yes, you would. So
what if I just hung my stuff out without warning somebody? Would it be their fault that their eyes transgressed to my goods? Anyways, moving forward. I'm doing formalities of legality things. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's stretching so it's just so bad. Also, somebody in the chat said that the mass hole report is going to go live right around the time that we wrap up. So I'll mention it again before we leave, but it would be great if everybody here goes over to mass hole report when we get done and say that I sent you. It would be. I would just think it's hilarious if we doubled their view count with 90 people over there saying that that I sent them. That would be awesome.
Hey, you stop making fun of my fucking 55, 80 concurrent viewers that I get on my live show. I'm just fucking around with you. I'm just joking. No, I'm joking. I'm just making fun of the numbers.
If I didn't think you added anything to the conversation, I wouldn't have asked you to be here. So
I know. I love you too.
No, all right. More stupid. Oh, hold on. OPT lawyer said something again. The plain view doctrine applies to searches by police officers. And that's what I thought too. If an officer is in a place where they can legally be and see contraband, they can seize it, in quotes or in parentheses, generally. So yeah, like
like open door. That's like open door with a body laying there, kind of thing. Like, or like table overflowing with cocaine, the door's wide open, and stuff. Like,
or the traffic stop, and you have an open container in your cup holder.
Or a bag of weed on your dashboard or something, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I always love that when they pull them over and they're like, "Weed's legal?" They're like, "I'm like, what fucking world have you been living in?" Like it's. You've seen what I'm talking about, eh? Like on like Cops or something like that. I think maybe they're just playing ignorant at that point, but sometimes they're serious. I think, and I'm like, "What have you?" All right. Don't worry about me.
Celebrities got peeping Tom charges against the press.
Are you seriously trying to make that connection, that distinction between the press, the celebrities, and the paparazzi?
I'm trying to say that whatever you can see where you're legally allowed to be is not something that you can be charged with. People have to create their own privacy. Have you ever heard that? Create your own privacy.
Trying to say that bitch came on to me.
Yes, and I've also seen that it's still BS when it comes to people who are in their houses and have the reasonable expectation, or on their property, and have a reasonable expectation of privacy that their actions aren't going to be recorded.
How would you have a reasonable expectation of privacy if you left your blinds open?
I'm still within the confines of my own home.
Would that seem reasonable to you, that what you were doing is private and couldn't be seen by anyone in public?
Yes. I fully expect that somebody's not going to record me. Don't care if I am freebirding all over my house with the blinds open. I still expect that somebody's not going to start recording me because I'm in my own house. I'm within my own property. That is literally the purpose of the peeping Tom laws, is intended to protect.
Okay.
Because
perhaps I'm wrong.
I mean, with all due respect, this is just reminding me of an Auditor video of a guy who decided that he was going to record the interior of a battered women's shelter.
Yep.
No, I would think that's a little bit different, but I mean.
Well, how so? The windows were completely open and exposed, and the guy decided that he's going to stand on a public sidewalk and record the interior through the window of a battered women's shelter. But he said that's okay because, as you said, they got to create their own privacy by closing the blinds.
Well, right, and legally he's absolutely correct, which is why he didn't get charged with peeping Tom laws.
Well, he was threatened that if he didn't leave, he's going to be arrested under the peeping Tom laws.
Right. If they actually had a case against him, they would have arrested him right there.
They gave him the chance. The cops decided to be cordial and give him the chance to walk away.
I find that hard to believe, speaking since it was about Glenn and the cops there hate him. But I mean, I digress. But so basically, if I leave my windows open and someone records in me, I can then call the police on them for peeping Toms because it was their fault that I left the windows open and I was naked in front of them.
Well, no, it was their fault that they decided to record the interior of my house.
And they can't do that, right? So, like, if I was a cop and I was outside looking inside your house, that would be illegal if I saw something, right?
Yes.
Like if there was pot on the dresser, and I looked in and.
That's where he's getting again. That's where he's trying to cite these Fourth Amendment searches cases. But
it's
again,
such a ridiculous thing to say. Anyways, it's like no. Come on. I set up 15 cameras facing that woman's bedroom. It's not my fault. She left her blinds open.
Right.
You know, like that's fucking ridiculous. As an
Right.
example, I'm using an over the top kind of example, but you know what I mean. It's kind of a point of the matter. His logic doesn't make sense.
Brainy Grubbo345 said he's just subscribed to you. So
Ooh, thank you. I can hear screaming beavers in my ear every time you people do it, just so you know. So I have felt the love.
do you?
Again, I don't know how to turn that fucking off. Every time somebody subscribes, I get like a on the default, which you guys aren't piped into right now, but I can hear. I get that it's a screaming beaver sound.
You turn off OBS and it stops usually.
Well, I'm using OBS, but there must be a way to actually turn it off in OBS. But
why are you using OBS? Why are you using OBS right now?
You got a good point. I had it on because I was going to feed over the camera, but then I realized that partway in that you guys don't use camera here. So yeah, you're right. I'll turn off OBS.
There you go.
Yeah, OPT lawyer just made a great point. That is the reason so many of these people claim victory because they don't get arrested. But here's the main reason why a lot of times they don't get arrested. OPT lawyer, great point. He said, sometimes the police just don't want to deal with the paperwork and want you to go.
Absolutely. My dad was a cop. There's so much paperwork. They just want to go home at the end of the day. And they have so much paperwork to do when they do. Like, they pull out a gun. Oh, my God, paperwork. They pull the trigger on something. Paperwork. Like, they fucking throw a wrench. It's paperwork.
And I think
they don't want to do it.
think they have special paperwork for people who are assholes to cop. It's like even more paperwork.
Right.
I mean, it's just, I remember my dad said for every 3 hours of legwork, you've got like 5 hours of paperwork by the time he retired, because of course we were into the bureaucracy days.
Yeah. And then you've got, with the First Amendment auditors, the first thing they're going to do is ask for like 8,000 hours of body cam and public record request. And they want to see the guy's service record, and they want all this other nonsense.
And then they want to talk about waste. Meanwhile, what they don't realize is every time they fucking well do that, all that has to get paid for by somebody. So the government ends up having to fork over money because for these people to go in on overtime essentially, and now work these shifts, because that's what ends up happening. They go in on overtime and they have to go to court to see you in court.
The taxpayers have to pay the cops to do the paperwork.
They pay it. Absolutely. Right. And so and they have to pay them for all the time they spend in when they go into court. So, if you tie them up in court for 3 hours that day, and he's getting paid, and he's likely getting paid overtime because he already worked his hours. That's usually that's why I said overtime, because it's usually by the time they get to court, they've already been working, so it's overtime.
Right. All right. I'm going to spam this link in the chat to Masshole Report. Hold on, let me do this real quick. Masshole Report. This is to the live stream that they're just about to start up. Paste and send. If 50 people don't go over there and say that I sent you, I'm going to crawl up in the fetal position in my hotel room floor and cry. Just so y'all know. At least 50. So let's go ahead and shut everything down. What's that?
Somebody mention it for me. I gotta go straight to the kids. But yes.
Yes. Say
I'm kidding. I'm just joking. I'm saying somebody say it for me too.
So I mean, my debt's paid.
Your debt's paid.
Wow.
It's like brutal.
I don't know.
Yeah, let's start with Brainy. What you got?
I am working on. I heard that the voting for DFOTY goes all month, and my contestant was already nominated anyways. So I have a video / live stream that I'm working on. For the love of God, I'm hoping to get it out in the next week here, because I got somebody to make fun of. And that's all I really want to say about that. And other than that, if you haven't seen FTFE's new 50th Flirfs Are Idiots, it just came out, and I am absolutely 100% in it. So you should go give it a look and a like, and go see my sexy face as well as everybody else. I think it's like MC Toon and There's a whole bunch of others on there. Cat Schrodinger. No, not Schrodinger. Oh, wait, are you on it too? No, you're not fucking on it. It's conspiracy cats. All you fucking cats. Anyways, you get the idea.
There's so many of us cats.
Anyways, but yeah, no, honestly,
too.
thanks for having me. I always have fun chatting with you guys. It's a fun group of people, right? So no, thanks for having me, and it's been a pleasure.
All right, thanks for showing up. Do you always add a lot to the conversation? Always great to have you.
I usually have a lot to talk about, anyways. Let's put it that way.
We've known each other for a while now. It's crazy.
true.
I remember way back, right after my Flat Earth Fokker debate, we did a collab. So
yeah, it's still on there. So the only thing in my monetization or in my copyright tab is your video, and it's 100% of his video is or it has 100% of my video and his video, or because you asked to mirror it, right? So yeah, like it's. Or whatever, we both put it up. Either way, it's funny because when I go to copyright, it's the only one that shows up, Schrodinger's cat. I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, it's great to see him doing the downward spiral into the sovereign citizen abyss. So
oh no, this is magical. I'm excited. I hope he starts putting court cases on that fucking channel. That's the next thing.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch.
Anyways, thank you for having me. Honestly, thank you very much.
All right, yeah, no worries. Arty, what you got?
Hey, I appreciate you having me on to be able to talk about the debate. Check out my channel. I'll have more stuff. I'll definitely be as soon as I get around to taking care of those N bombs. I'll be talking about Marcel's latest vid, and I will also be reacting to. Eddie, Robbie Estabrook, apparently he posted a video of him going to a police station and asking for his weed back that was stolen from him.
That is amazing. Are you serious?
I can't wait to go see that. I've only seen like the first minute, and I'm like, okay, I have to say my first reactions for a live stream. So I'm gonna.
This is like the kind of shit that dreams are made out of.
So look for that a bit, because I don't know when that's going to happen, because as you guys know, I'm balls deep in Cyberpunk, and who knows when I'm going to have time to play live stream other stuff. But check it out there. Thanks again, Schrodinger, for having me on, and can't be always appreciated.
Don't make your balls bigger. Just remember that.
Hey, I'm going to talk to you about Cyberpunk, by the way, at some point here, because I have a suspicion that's a hype train that's going to run into a wall, but you might disagree, so I'll talk to you about that.
Well, I've been playing it this entire time, and I'm still enjoying myself, even though. But anyway, yes. Thanks again, Schrodinger, for having me on. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Dave, what do you got?
I got to say, I enjoy producing this kind of content because, quite frankly, like your intro implies, Flat Earth is dead. It's boring as hell at this point. I've been at it since 2014, so I'm over Flat Earth, and it's always nostalgic to produce for you because we met on the Non Sequitur show and we were doing Flat Earth stuff, and now we're here. And we're done with Flat Earth. So
started at the bottom, now we're here. Sorry, I had to.
Right, we all, like everybody here except Arty, met on the Non Sequitur show. So, like everybody on the whole panel, and hopefully it starts up again soon. I just checked the court a couple minutes ago, and they haven't done anything except give Kyle a deadline that has come and gone. So we're now waiting on the court to issue a warrant for his arrest at this point.
Interesting. And that's quite an evolution, but that's a story for another day. I already know the story. I just mean, like, it's just fuck. If anybody doesn't know the story, that's not a quick story. So
that's not something I can. That's not a wrap up kind of story. No.
No, exactly. Yeah. That's all I meant. Exactly.
Kyle's best bet at this point is to challenge jurisdiction and say that he's not a person, that he's a corporate fiction, and he may as well. He's tried everything else.
That would be the next step, actually, other than fleeing the country to a non-extradition country. Yeah, that would be the next step for him, because this is going to follow him around wherever he goes if he doesn't just show up and take his medicine at this point.
All right, let's get out of here and go over to Masshole Report. I'm going to spam the link one more time. Let's overwhelm them with people saying that they came, that you went over there from here, just so that I can rub it in their face. All right. Anybody else got anything?
No, I'm good. Thanks for having me, and this was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Nope. Thanks again.
Everyone, thanks for stopping by. See you soon. And go
Nice
watch.
chatting, Arty.
Yep. See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.